Hello everyone, this is Dipannita. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to finish the first chapter of class 6 history. Before starting the video, I recommend you to check my previous video to understand the whole chapter. So let's begin. Our first point is names of the land. In this point, we are going to know how our country got its name. Two of the words we often use for our country are India and Bharat. The word India comes from the Indus. Here is Indus. The word India comes from the Indus, called Sindhu in Sanskrit. Now we are going to find Iran and Greece in this world map. Let's find out. Here is Iran and here is Greece. Okay, so how Iran and Greece is related to India? The Iranians and Greeks who came through the northwest about 2500 years ago and were familiar with the Indus, called it Hindus or Indos. And the land to the east of the river was called India. Now we are going to know the name Bharata. How the name Bharata came from. The name Bharata was used for a group of people who are mentioned in the Rig Veda, the earliest composition in Sanskrit, dated about 3500 years ago. Moving on to our next point is finding out about the past. It will be very interesting to know several ways of finding out about the past. We will know step by step what should we do to know our past. First, one is to search and read ancient books that were written long ago. These are called manuscripts because they were written by hand. This comes from the Latin word manu, meaning hand. Nowadays, we can write anything on the paper, but in those days there was no paper. So what did people do? They use specially prepared bark of a tree known as birch, which grows in the Himalayas. And they were usually written on palm leaves. The manuscripts are generally written on palm leaves. Palm leaves were cut into pages and tied together to make books. Over the years, many manuscripts were eaten by insects, some were destroyed, but many have survived, often preserved in temples and monasteries. These books dealt with all kinds of subjects: religious beliefs, the lives of kings, science, medicine. Besides, there were epics, poems, plays. Many of these were written in Sanskrit. Others were in Prakrit and Tamil. These languages are used by ordinary people. Now, second thing we can do to know about our past is we can also study inscriptions. These are writings on relatively hard surfaces such as stones or metal. Sometimes kings got their orders inscribed so that people could see read, and obey them. For example, kings often kept records of victories in battle. Here is an image of an inscription. This is a very ancient inscription and a famous bilingual inscription in Greek and Aramaic. Bilingual, you can see this portion is Greek and this portion is Aramaic. You can see the difference between the letters. So this is a bilingual inscription. Now we are going to know about some new words which is very important in history. We are going to know who are the archaeologists. There were many other things that were made and used in the past. Those who study these objects are called archaeologists. Those who study history by digging up human remains and artifacts called archaeologists. Here is another new word, excavate. And what is excavation? Dig under the surface of the earth to find tools, weapons, pots, ornaments, coins, etc. Archaeologists also look for bones of animals, birds, and fish to find out what people ate in the past. Historians often use the word source to refer the information found from manuscripts, inscriptions, and archaeology. Once sources are found, learning about the past becomes an adventure. So, historians and archaeologists are like detectives who use all these sources like clues to find out about our past. Our next point is one past or many. In this point, we are going to know we have one past or many pasts. As we already saw that kings recorded their deeds in inscriptions, manuscripts. But what about the ordinary people? What about their history? Ordinary people like hunters, farmers, fishermen. What about their history? Today, most of people living in the Andaman Island get their own food by fishing, hunting, and collecting forest produce. By contrast, most people living in cities depend on others for supplies of food. We know about kings and their battles because they kept records of their victories. Generally, ordinary people did not keep records of what they did, while archaeology helps us to find out about their lives. There is much that remains unknown. Now move on to the next point. What do dates mean? Dates are very, very important in history. So we need to know the calculation of dates. The dates generally assigned to the birth of the Jesus, the founder of the Christianity. All the dates before the birth of the Christ are counted backwards like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 and usually have letters BC added on. Here you can see BC. BC stands for before Christ and BCE before Common Era. These are the same. Before Christ, before Common Era. You will find sometimes AD before dates. This stands for two Latin word Anno Domini. What is the meaning of Anno Domini? Anno Domini meaning in the year of the Lord. And we can also say CE, that is Common Era. So AD and CE are the same. So let's assume 0 as the birth date of Jesus, and we are living in 2020. So 2020 means 2020 years after the birth of the Christ. So obviously we can write 2020 AD because it's 20 years after the birth of the Christ. Again, here is a new word called decipherment. Decipherment is the discovery of the meaning of the text written in ancient languages or scripts. Here is an Egyptian script called hieroglyphics. As you can see, a lion stood for L and a bird stood for A. Once you know what the letter stood for, you could read other inscriptions as well. It is very interesting. You can also try this at your home and write your own name in hieroglyphics. That's all for today. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe and share, and stay safe. Thank you so much.